Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it's time for Disney to move beyond George Lucas.
Right, yeah. So yeah, yesterday, we were going to cover this yesterday, but things happened that we didn't get to do videos yesterday. People don't do their jobs and then somehow them not doing their jobs causes problems for us kind of thing.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it's been one of those weeks.
Yes, 90% of our stress is even things related to us. So yesterday morning, I posted this because I came across this article. I was doing an article about Indiana Jones and some of the rumors about that. And when I was doing that article, I stumbled upon this Games Radar article from 2 days ago. So I posted on Twitter yesterday morning. Apparently that set off a bunch of other people posting about it. But yeah, there's this article in this interview with her. Now, it's nothing that she hasn't said before, to be fair. But it was a couple days ago for the Games Radar. And she's basically made comments about moving past George Lucas. That they've done all they could with George's ideas. And they moved past it. But that's what they've done the whole time since they came on board.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Like, this is news. I mean, they immediately decided they were not going to use George Lucas's treatments for 7, 8, and 9. He gave Disney an outline when he sold Lucasfilm, said, here's the deal. I will sell you Lucasfilm, use my ideas for 7, 8, and 9, and kind of build off of that. And they're like, cool, George. Yeah, we're going to do that. Sure.
They basically let him believe they were going to do it, so he agreed.
Yeah, so he reluctantly, and like when he signed, you could see when he was signing the papers, he's kind of like, I think I'm making a huge mistake because they were filming the whole thing. But then, immediately they tossed out his treatments, and he has said on numerous occasions that Disney Star Wars is not his Star Wars. So why is this shocking? They've deliberately been trying to move beyond George Lucas since day one.
So what the article came from was this Games Radar article. Kathleen Kennedy explains why Ray and James Mangold's Star Wars movies are linked. So James Mangold's doing, he doing the Rey movie? No, he's doing the early movie. He's doing the Jedi Order movie, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other guy's doing the Rey movie. And then the one they're not mentioning is Dave Filoni, who's doing the Mandalorian movie. Now, Dave Filoni's doing the Mandalorian movie that's rumored to be called Heir to the Empire.
Yeah.
They're doing a Jedi Order movie. You starting to see a pattern here?
Can't they find some original names?
No, they can't do anything original. While she's talking about moving on past George Lucas, they're bringing up and they're bringing Thrawn back, and they're bringing different characters from the EU back, and all this other shit. And I want to go on record because you're talking about like the EU and Legends and stuff. They're banking on people not knowing what they are. But here's the thing: we're a big fan. I mean, at least me. I used to read all the books and stuff. I've mentioned it many times. Hey, look. I read the books and wrote letters to authors, which led to this. Look, they named the Star Wars character after me in the books.
It looks just like you.
Oh, yeah. Hot damn.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, someone went and added, and I appreciate this, trivia. Kevin James Anderson named her after Cambria Pratt, Geeky Sparkles from Clownfish TV, because he liked her name. She used to send him and other writers of the franchise fan mails and her later teen and young adult years. I did.
So I didn't add that. That's funny. No, yeah, what happened?
Thank you, whoever did, because it's true, and I have the letter to prove it.
Because I actually hit Kevin Anderson up. I said, hey,
you found it, not even me.
Yeah, I said. So Cambria, the Cambria character in your books, my wife was a big fan of yours. She used to write you letters. You actually had some of the letters.
I have the letters. I have the letter he wrote, and he said he was going to save my name.
And I'm like, I just got to ask off the record, was this her, based on her? He's like, well, if she's the one that has that letter, then yeah, it totally was based on her.
I have the letter.
And
Anyway, and I
why'd you kill her? Why'd you kill her?
Well, it's okay. They're also going to be, people are going to laugh because they all assume that, it's funny to me, they all assume that I'm Republican and all this other shit, and I'm far alt-right Yahtzee bullshit. But first of all, I don't understand why Republican is supposed to be an insult. There's two parties in our democratic republic, a Republican Party and a Democrat Party, and there's other parties too, but those are the two main ones. I don't understand, this whole idea that one's a villain is just laughable. But apparently my character was, human species, was punishing the human species because they were like a
part
supremacist.
of the diversity alliance. You're part of the diversity alliance.
And I was trying to kill off humans because they were, bad guys. Anyway, back to the point. The point is, I just find it funny now that that's what they're dipping into. They made a big point of how they were just decanonizing Legends and EU. Because when they said they were going to do their trilogy, everybody was hoping for Heir to the Empire, Last Command, Dark Force Rising. That's what people who have been fans for years were hoping for, okay?
Yeah.
And then we got The Force Awakens, which was basically A New Hope all over again. And I remember being in the theater and being like, what the hell? You liked it. I was like, she's Mary Sue, what the hell?
I liked it. I didn't love it. I thought it was a good start. Yeah, it was redundant, but I'm like, okay, I am interested in these characters and where they take them. Weirdly enough, the character I was the least interested in was Rey. I actually liked Finn and Poe and their dynamic.
Me too.
I'm like, I would have watched a Finn and Poe movie. I was hoping they would do something else with these characters.
I didn't think Rey started off bad, but then it just, when they, like, oh, she can fight Kylo Ren, who's been trained for years, and, with her, no training. And, and then they tease Finn being a Jedi because he pulls a lightsaber and everything else. And I was like, yes, it's a great story.
And everything. They teased it. Yeah, they
that's
teased
where
it.
I'm heading with this. The trailers for that. This is where I'm heading to. There's a reason I brought this up. So in the trailers, they kept teasing Finn was going to be, him and Rey were both going to be like, the main characters. They teased Han, Luke, and Leia reunion, which I've mentioned several times in other videos. And they offered none of that. So here's what she said about the movies, which is taking me to my tweet from yesterday. So they said, they're talking about Rey, Star Wars movie is going to break new ground. They asked if it was going to break new ground then. I think what's always great about Star Wars, it's the big galaxy, and we're coming off was a major war with the First Order. And then she talked about while discussing Indiana Jones' Dial Destiny, which is why I found this. I was looking for that. And now Rey has made a promise to Luke, and that's really where the core of where we're going and what the story will be. And I think it offers just tremendous opportunity to introduce new characters and start with something fresh outside of the original trilogy. Because we culminated with what George Lucas was creating. And now we need to take that and move on to the next chapter.
It's time to just forget all about the old man. And
basically, everybody's comparing them to George, and they're pissed about it.
Yeah.
So we're just going to
make all new characters.
And make all new stories. And the thing is, but we're not. You're bringing in Thrawn and stuff from the EU. But the EU wasn't always the best story. Sometimes they were stupid. But here's the kicker. They still relied on basing it off of the original trilogy.
Yes.
The characters harken back to the original trilogy. And when you had characters in the original trilogy, they were treated with respect and they were made sure to feel like they belonged. Like, your job as a writer was to write stories that were Star Wars stories that were true to those characters in that universe. Now, Disney, since we own it, they flushed that universe down the toilet. Mm-hmm. They flushed George Lucas's treatment down the toilet. And then they went with their own stuff. And then instead of just, building upon that, we have the original three, let's, they can pass the torch and we can have Force Awakens be about them. And then we can pass the torch on the next people and move on from there. But they didn't. They killed Han. They ruined Luke and made him a sad sack piece of shit. And they did it all, even their own characters, Finn and Poe, they demoted them just to put these new characters in that happen to be women most of the time and raise them up. And people hated it.
Yeah, it's diminishing returns. I mean, I would not be out there saying, with all the controversy, with all the backlash, I'd not be out there saying, hey, we're just going to just completely cut all of George Lucas, all of his ideas out of Star Wars.
We're just going to use our Well, no, they can't, because she's doing what Luke asked her to, supposedly.
Well, we'll mention Luke in one or two sentences, but we're never going to show him.
And I don't know how they're going to do Heir to the Empire without hearkening it back to, if they're calling it Heir to the Empire as in the Mandalorian timeline. You can't do Heir to the Empire in the Mandalorian timeline, which it would be, without bringing in Luke. And Mara Jade, are you a fucking asshole?
Okay, so if I were Bob Iger, I'd be like, Star Wars is in the gutter right now. Kathy, shut your mouth. You are the last person to give us any advice on Star Wars. We broke Galaxy's Edge. Galaxy's Edge was supposed to be based on the original trilogy, which is evergreen. Original trilogy merchandise still sells. People would come in droves to Tatooine and Endor and Hoth and whatever else. You talked me into turning it into some LARPing adventure for all different Star Wars, and it did not go well.
Oh, get this. Josh D'Amaro has said, he basically said that, sometimes they make mistakes, and when it wasn't commercially viable, they shut it down. But there are plans for it. He just wouldn't say what.
If they bring it back as original trilogy, then they need to bring all of Galaxy's Edge original trilogy.
I don't know if they're bringing it back as a Star Wars hotel. He just said they have plans for the location. They just aren't saying what.
Oh, yeah, a high-priced corporate meet and greet.
Or I was thinking they have all the hotel rooms. They'll just turn it into like a regular, like a DVC. Well, my friend said DVC. Yeah. And then I said, I can see them doing it as a hotel, like, $800 a night.
And you get like the dinner theater or something.
Well, you don't have to. They probably wouldn't use dinner theater. They put a food court there, and it'll be a Star Wars, or people can come in, and do like the experience. Like you can go to other hotels and Disney property that offer shows or things, and you don't have to stay there. You can still pay for the, to come in and do whatever activity. So they'll just, you can rent the room. You can pay for the activity separate. If you want to go do the lightsaber training, or I wouldn't surprise me. But anyway. Yeah, so that's what I said yesterday. I said, hey, no, Lucas already wrapped it up. He gave you a treatment, and you guys tossed it. Culminating with what George was creating, you guys literally undid it all, then redid it poorly, like they did with, Indiana Jones. He was married, and they had, Crystal Skull sucked. True. But they gave him a happy ending. You completely undid his happy ending to bring him back as a sad sack for this next movie. Same with Luke. You said Han and Leia were married, or were going to get married, and they were happy, and they get married eventually. And you broke them up. And then Luke got, a resolution. He was going to, if you go past the expanded universe, he went off to be, teach the next generation of Jedi, and all that, met Mara Jade and all this other stuff. You just made him a miserable hermit who was an asshole. Yeah,
so you're handing Luke's story arc to Rey, basically.
Right, because that's what they wanted to do. And which they could have done in a way that didn't, they could have made Rey the next whatever Jedi without ruining Luke to do it. But when you have Kathleen Kennedy in charge, you ruin everything. If someone put this on Twitter, I thought it was funny. I honestly didn't think she could pull it off. I didn't think Iger would let her. But here we are 10 years later, and she's done it. Kathleen Kennedy has replaced every one of George Lucas's white male protagonists with a brunette woman, just like her.
That is very much the case, yes.
So, every protagonist that was a man has been, lessened, and then a new female character has been added.
I've replaced every one of George's OCs with my OC.
Basically. So, and then now he's trending. George Lucas is trending because people are talking about, that's where I found this, because people are talking about how ridiculous it is. I thought this was funny. James Cameron has revealed that he used to be a fan of Star Wars franchise, praising the 6 original films.
I saw that yesterday. Yeah, because the difference is, and I retweeted that one. I said the difference is George Lucas was telling a story. He had a story to tell. Disney's story is the one they want to tell their investors about how much money they're making. Mm-hmm. That is literally the only reason they did more Star Wars.
Right. They don't care about it. It was an acquisition. Iger doesn't care about this shit. He just wants to acquire it. If I had to pick a single storytelling aspiration that separates George Lucas from Rian Johnson, is that the former wanted to uplift and elevate the audience, the latter sought to demoralize and humiliate them. They're not wrong. They go on and on about it. And like I said, how I found it was they're talking about Indiana Jones. It was an Indiana Jones interview that this was brought up in. But this sums up everything. Like, we're going to move past it. I love this too. We're going to introduce new characters and start with something fresh. So we want to separate ourselves completely from George Lucas is what they're trying to do, even though your movies can't be separated because they're based on things that you did from the Skywalker, the movies you made. But beyond that, when you guys do new things, like The Mandalorian, like it was supposed to be Boba Fett, then became Mandalorian, you started out solid and you did well, and you still found a way to ruin it by season 3.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we go to Ollie's Bargain Outlet yesterday, and there was tons of Mandalorian stuff on clearance. I'm not talking just like on clearance, but like freaking dirt cheap Grogu's. They were like $40, $50 Grogu dolls for $16. They had tons of them. They had a bunch of vehicles. They had X-Wings with Luke Skywalker and Grogu. They had Ahsoka's ship. Stuff that normally would have flown off the shelves. They were like $20, $25 vehicles. They're selling them for $4.99.
$5. Oh, and if you go between for July 2nd, they're going 15% off additionally.
I did buy an X-Wing, but
we did because it was Luke Skywalker.
But what I'm saying is, like, that stuff normally would not have rotted on the shelf. Even the Mandalorian stuff was selling. They had Bo-Katan figures. They had,
They did not have Cara Dune anything because they didn't have leftover Cara Dune stuff.
No, because all the collectors snatched them up.
Yeah, people wanted Cara Dune.
You got
I'm just pointing that out. I do. I have 2. I'm just pointing that out. Anyway, it's just funny to me that they're saying this. They're just now going to move on to something and do something fresh. I'm like, you literally just took everything that George Lucas handed you, flushed it, destroyed everything he had done to try to artificially say your story was, this new story. When you have to undo an ending to make your new beginning, then you need to do it over again.
Yeah.
You could have moved forward. Han and Leia could have been married. Luke could have been training people. You still could have had Ben Solo, if you wanted to be him, turn to the dark side. Still, you could have done that, and it still would have been okay, because, you could still be raised right and still do bad things or be conflicted. God, Twitter proves that all the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little shits on there who probably have a perfect life at home, and their mom and dad care about them, and they're on, the keyboard, shit lord, alt-right Yahtzee,
You privileged white person.
J.K. Rowling should die. Transphobia,
Typing on my iMac in my Beverly Hills.
Right. Down with the patriarchy and
my dad pays
eat the rich. Dad, can I borrow the Beamer?
I know, right?
It's like just these people are like, and it's the same mentality all over again. It's like when you cannot build your own thing without toppling down somebody else's, then besides the fact that you're kind of a complete asshole, you're not a caretaker. You're a destroyer, and you're insanely insecure and jealous of what came before you. And you want to make sure that's like, well, Disney's Star Wars, not George Lucas's Star Wars. You would have been better off to be Disney and George Lucas's Star Wars than just Disney Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. And they could have worked with him, I think, if they'd, been like, hey, George,
He was going to work with him. He gave him the treatments.
Well, they gave him the bird, so that's
they gave him a treatment.
And look, he went on. I think it was Charlie Rose, not long after The Force Awakens came out, and he was like, "Yeah, this isn't what I would have done. I sold my baby to white slavers." It's like, oh my god.
Which we mentioned in other videos, but yeah.
Yeah, and then his wife had to stop.
I knew you were going to mention that.
He was going off on. You can find the video clip out there. They took it down. They were at like an inner city middle school or something, and some kid asked him about Disney Star Wars. And he was trying to be nice, but he's like, well, that's not really my thing. I did the first 6. And then what came after that was kind of beyond me. And his wife was like, George.
She was like, when the kid asked the question.
Oh, God.
Don't ask it. And they deleted it, which is sad because it was a chance for these kids to get to talk to George Lucas, and they deleted it.
Yeah, but people were probably harassing the kids or whatever. But, his wife, I'm sure, has gotten an earful about it.
Well, the kid didn't do anything wrong. He just asked a simple question. Yeah. I don't know. So anyway, we're going to wrap it up.
We're going to wrap this up. I don't even know. I am so numb to it at this point. Like I said, I bought the Luke Skywalker X-Wing.
I only do classic stuff
$5
at this point. Prequel classic. That's all I do.
I just have zero interest. There's absolutely nothing that will convince me that Disney has any intention of walking it back with Star Wars. They did a little bit. They threw us a bone.
Oh, now they're just going to plunder the EU now.
They're gonna plunder the EU.
With the bone that they get.
We're gonna plunder it. We're gonna take it from behind. Yeah, they threw us a bone with proper Luke Skywalker at the end of Mandalorian, and
but they had to do to try to win people back, right. And they still ruined Mandalorian.
And they still ruined the Mandalorian. So it's like it's hopeless.
Well, now they're saying it's basically they're saying this Bo-Katan show now.
Yeah,
they're basically saying, and they had Pedro Pascal saying about how we're passing it off to Bo-Katan.
Yeah. So forget it.
Yeah, people are just sick of your bait and switch shit.
Look, if you like it, that's fine. We don't do nearly as many Star Wars videos as we used to do because I personally have run out of give a shit. That ship has sailed. It was a nice moment in time to have Star Wars and to be around for Star Wars when Star Wars was a phenomenon.
It was actually Star Wars.
And now Star Wars is just another damaged science fiction franchise. It's Disney princesses in space.
If you love original Star Wars and you want to continue with original Star Wars, then go find the books from the EU and read those. Go do that, because the closest thing to what feels like, and those books were George Lucas approved too, right? So he knew what was going on. He was agreeing with it. Go find those books, read them. That's what I'd recommend. It's going to be interesting to see if they do, besides the names, steal a lot of stuff from the EU books. To try to salvage Star Wars, the thing that people loved, the thing that respected the original, that they immediately killed as soon as they got control of it. And made it clear that it no longer exists, it's no longer canon. If they take from that, which they're already starting to, because to save Star Wars, that tells me everything.
Yeah.
So, but go read those. Those I recommend highly. There's dozens of books to choose from. Go read that. So,
all right, anyway, we're gonna wrap it up.
Yes.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.